Hi, this is going to be really quick because I have takeout on the way that I need to go and pick up. But I wanted to talk about oversharing really quickly because I was just driving home and I was thinking about, I effectively just spoke. So I basically used to tell everyone, like back in the day, about like my spiritual self. I don't know. And I don't do that anymore, ever, apart from on here, which is ironic because this is like the most open platform of media that I have. But anyone like in my personal life, I don't really tell them about that at all because, I don't know, unless it comes up in conversation, like I just feel like that's like, I don't know, I feel like it's like almost, the only way I can describe it is like, you know, when you take up a new hobby and you tell everyone about it because you're so excited about it, and then when it just becomes like a standard part of your life, you don't feel the need to talk about it all the time because it's just like part of your life. Kind of like that. So anyway, it just came up in conversation with a few of my work friends. We went for a drink after work about how like I'm spiritual, and they were like, what? Like I've known you like one of the girls, I worked with her for like almost 2 years, and she was like, I never knew this. And I was like, yeah, I just don't tell people. And I was thinking to myself the other day, like, I'm actually like a way more private person than I used to be. And I used to be such an oversharer, like to the point where it was like kind of embarrassing, like looking back on some of the things that I used to say to people. And I realized, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not going to say that this is definitive because it's not. And also I'm not living everyone else's life to be able to comment on the reasons that they say or do the things that they do. But for me, I do feel like the more fulfilled I am in my own life and the more substantial certain elements of my life are, the less I feel the need to talk about them. And I don't know if this is like I don't know, like be all or end all, I guess. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's kind of like what I was just saying about how like when something is the way it is, I don't feel the need to talk about it. Unless I'm genuinely really excited for something that's coming up. But when I was younger, I used to just tell everyone everything all the time because I was trying to make myself seem interesting. And I feel like now that I know that I am actually interesting, I don't feel the need to try and make myself appear interesting. And it's funny because I feel like it kind of has like, it's like the backwards law, like it has the opposite effect. Like I feel like people now think that I'm more interesting because they don't know what I'm up to. And like I'm not trying to be like I'm so mysterious and I'm like the most mysterious person on the planet, because that is not the truth. Like I literally have a podcast where I talk about everything I do all the time, so that makes me inherently not mysterious. But I do feel like if I tell someone something, they're like, I didn't know that, and I'm like, it's never come up in conversation. Like I don't know, like I feel like now my relationships are to the point where like they're fulfilled enough without me feeling the need to like be like, oh, but I also do this and I do that. Like I don't know. And I don't know if this is like a thing that comes with age or a thing that is just like a growth experience. Sorry, there's a man turning around on his bike and I'm a bit confused. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know, I feel like it's interesting as a topic because I see a lot of videos online about like oversharing and why you shouldn't overshare, and like fucking high value women don't overshare, and I think that's bullshit. Like all of that high value woman stuff is actually bullshit. Like please don't feed into that. But I kind of wanted to like, I don't know, talk about it for a sec because I just feel like it's really important to know how to not overshare, because I feel like there's been times in my life when I was actually thinking about this at work earlier. Have you ever been in that situation where you're sat with someone and you literally have nothing to say to each other, so you just start telling them things that you definitely shouldn't? And like, if you haven't had that experience, then you must be a great conversationalist, because the amount of times that I walk away from a scenario and I'm like, I've just actually just like bared my soul to this person because I didn't know what else to say. Because my default, if I'm in a situation that I feel uncomfortable in, my default is just like chat shit. Like I'm not one of those people that goes mute when I feel awkward. I'm one of those people that like kind of does not stop talking. And I feel like a lot of people probably relate to that. And then you walk away like, oh, why did I say that? And it's like kind of like anxiety, but without the alcohol part. Like, what did I say? What did I do? Like, why did I think it was a good idea to say those things? And I feel like the older I've gotten, and I don't know, maybe it's like a job thing, I think, as well. Like the more jobs I've had and how I've learned to talk to like different types of people, I just feel like I've kind of learned what to say at the right time. And I don't know if you could consider it masking, because I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if this is like an ADHD conversation now, but anyone who has masking tendencies will know what it's like to like think that is the appropriate thing that you should say in that scenario, not necessarily the thing that you want to say. And it's interesting to me because I feel like we say things and we try and relate to people in ways, and I look back on things that, like, I used to do this thing all the time when someone would be talking about something and then I would talk about something that to me was my way of showing like, oh, this is, I relate to you, or I understand, or I've been through a similar thing, and then come away and find out later that they thought I was just like trying to like make the situation about me. And it was really disheartening because I was like, no, like, I'm just trying to like relate to you because I want you to be my friend, or I want you to connect with me, and I want you to like, I don't know, I just like kind of want to connect with everyone. Like I feel like that's like my goal, is just to like actually like form connections with people. And I think that probably stems from like not feeling like overly connected to a lot of people growing up, because I didn't know what to say, or I didn't know what to do, or people thought I was like weird. And not weird in like a quirky like YA novel way, like weird in the way of like, why is that girl picking her nose in class way. And it's funny because I feel like now I'm like at the point where I'm really confident in my conversational skills, and like, I don't know, being a waitress for like fucking however many years makes you the perfect chameleon. Like you just know what to say in any given circumstance dependent on the person in front of you. And sometimes I think to myself, like, how much of what I'm saying is genuine or is just like a mask for what I know that they want from me. And that's the thing with oversharing, is like, I feel like sometimes we overshare because we want to show this person in front of us that we're like normal, or we're, I don't know, athletic, or we're fun to be around. So we tell them things that maybe we didn't need to make them think a certain way about us. And I kind of, like, I've recently started to do this thing where, you know, when you get a thought and you're like, oh, I shouldn't say that, and you don't say it because it's like really like actually like not the appropriate response. I've started doing this thing, I don't know what it's called, like rejection therapy or something, I think, where you just say it anyway, or like you do the thing that you want to do, like the aim is to be rejected, so that when you go through experiences in your life where you have to face rejection, it doesn't bother you. It's like a muscle, like you do the uncomfortable thing, like lift a weight, and then after a while the weight that was like impossible to lift before is now like really easy to lift. So it's that kind of thing where it gets you to the point where any form of embarrassment or like social awkwardness just doesn't faze you. And so I've been doing that for like the past few months. Sorry, I'm aware that I'm talking really fast, but I haven't podcasted in a really long time. And I'm submitting my dissertation later, and it's like very exciting, and I'm very excited for my tea, and like, sorry. And I also really want to get home, so I'm probably going to stop talking really soon. But yeah, no, so I'm trying to do this rejection therapy thing, and it's so strange because I thought in my head that I would face so much more rejection than I do. And I say these things, and I don't know if it's like kind of like a pretty privileged thing, because I don't want to come across arrogant, but I'm aware that like I have like, you know, the appropriate Western proportions, and that I present well, especially at work. Like I always like make an effort at work, and, you know, I don't know if it's one of those things, because I see all these TikToks all the time where people are like, oh, if you have pretty privilege, you can just get away with anything. So I don't know if it's like something like that, but no one reacts as weird as I thought they would. And it's funny because when I was a child and I would do these things, and I don't know if people are just inherently meaner when they're younger, but like the older I get, people are just like nicer to me about everything. Like no matter how weird I am or how like strange the things I do are, no one seems to care. So it's like, was there any point in oversharing anyway? Because this person was probably going to like me anyway. Like I don't know if it's more of like a vibes thing or what, but it's like these people, it's taken me to like purposely, well, it's kind of like a two-part thing. Like, you know, firstly, come to the acknowledgement and awareness that I'm doing it in the first place. And then secondly, make the choice of actually changing that behavior, because I don't want to mask for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and think like, who am I as like my authentic self? Like, I don't know who that is because I spent my whole life masking, because at the end of the day, masking is just people pleasing, and that's gross. Like, I really don't like people pleasing, and it really irks me. As much as I know, like, for a lot of people it's not intentional, and I'm not coming for anyone that has troubles with people pleasing, especially if it's like rooted in trauma, you know, definitely that's not what I'm trying to say. But it's funny because you think, because of your like previous experiences, or especially childhood experiences, if I say this thing, someone's gonna like laugh at me, or like not want to spend time with me, or like socialize with me, and like it's really sad, I'm gonna have no friends, and then you do it and you're like, oh no, actually it's fine to say these things and do these things. Like, I don't know, have you ever had anyone say something to you that is like completely outlandish, like genuinely outlandish? Because obviously everyone's had one of those experiences. And like, what did you do in that scenario? Like, because I highly doubt you said, you're so fucking weird, fuck off, loser. You didn't. Like, no one does that. And if you do that, then you're kind of weird yourself. But it's interesting to me how maybe when someone said that to you when you were like 8, like, I don't know, some boy said it to you, probably a boy, because I don't know. Most of the times people were mean to me when I was a child, like to my face, it was a boy. But that's just not the case. Like, when you grow up, no one's like, they might like walk away and be like, that was really weird. But to your face, no one's ever going to be like, you're so strange, you're a loser. Does anyone even call anyone a loser anymore? I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a thing that people do. Like, it's not like socially acceptable anymore. And I don't know. I just feel like the message of this podcast is, if you feel the need to overshare, you're probably overcompensating for something that you feel you lack. And do you actually need to overshare? Like, is that what you actually want to say? Or are you just saying it because it's what you feel like you should say in the moment? What do you actually want to say, you know? I don't know. This is bullshit. I'm chatting out my ass now, so I'm going to stop talking. But thank you guys for listening. Hopefully there'll be more podcasts coming because I'm done with uni now. But thank you. Love you. Speak to you soon.